Good morning and welcome to our virtual fundraiser, Summer Magic. I am Loretta Davenport, president of the Southside Friends of Chicago Sinfonietta. I hope you have prepared your brunch tables with tasty treats and have your coffee, tea, and mimosas at hand. We will spend the next 45 minutes together enjoying beautiful music performances and reconnecting with the Chicago Sinfonietta family. For those who are new to us, the Southside Friends was formed at Maestro Paul Freeman's request in 1987, the year that he founded Chicago Sinfonietta. Our purpose is to promote awareness of the artistic excellence and the platform of diversity and inclusion, which are the hallmarks of Chicago Sinfonietta, and which position it as a model throughout this nation and beyond. Raising funds to sustain this important work is the core of our mission. Through the leadership of our founder, Elizabeth Wilkins, the creative genius of our lifetime member, Audrey Tuggle, and with the generous support of our patrons, our signature fundraiser, A Magical Holiday Breakfast, has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years to support the orchestra's operations and in particular its educational programs. Last December, we celebrated our 30th annual and most successful A Magical Holiday Breakfast. Now, 7 months later, the ground underneath us has shifted, and we find ourselves in a virtual world that has actually become our new reality. It's been a sobering and sometimes paralyzing experience. But what you will learn today is that Chicago Sinfonietta is undaunted. It is on the move. We are excited and so very inspired by the work that is being done that with the help of our ever-supportive friends, Steve Baskerville and George Cooper, and with the wonders of technology, we decided to throw a party and share it all with you. We hope that what you see and hear today inspires you to support the orchestra with your donations of any size. Every dollar makes a difference. Donations of $100 or more will enter you into our raffle for a real brunch with real food and drinks for 8 people. While we regret that we will not be able to gather all together at the Crystal Gardens at Navy Pier this year, let's look on the bright side. Today, each of us has the very best seat in our own homes, and we will be able to see and hear everything. So here's to a great morning. It is now my pleasure to introduce a man who needs no introduction, our dear friend and master of ceremonies, Steve Baskerville. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Loretta. Good morning, Southside Friends of the Sinfonietta. And good morning to everybody that might be watching on Facebook. Just spread the word and tell everybody you know that we got something magical indeed going on this morning. And you can actually correspond with us through Facebook chat or through Vimeo. Now, usually I can give you a high five or a handshake or a hug, but like Loretta said, we can't do that these days because of the social distancing, but we do plan on having some fun here this morning. Now, people ask me, they say, well, Steve, how did you get involved with the Southside Friends? And it goes back really over a decade or so when Mrs. Audrey Tuggle said to me, hey, would you like to MC our holiday breakfast? I said, sure. And I've been doing it ever since because it is something that's very special. It's a perfect way to kick off the holiday season around Christmas. And I miss it already, but hopefully we will get together next year. Now, I'm also asked, how were you introduced to the Chicago Sinfonietta? It goes back even longer than that. Back in the mid-90s, I interviewed the maestro himself, Maestro Paul Freeman. I showed up at the end of a rehearsal and he had his towel draped around his neck and he was perspiring like he had a major workout going on. And I realized then, if this man is putting that kind of zeal and zest and enthusiasm into a rehearsal, it's no wonder that these performances sound as terrific as they do. And it's the reason why we are here to celebrate one of the most renowned orchestras in the world, and it is ours right here in Chicago. Like Loretta said, this really is more about raising funds and keeping the orchestra alive and thriving as a real Chicago treasure. The Chicago Sinfonietta takes music to the community. The Sinfonietta introduces classical music to kids in school, and the Sinfonietta mentors young adults as well. So it's all about education. It's all about reaching out. And we want to make sure that your donations keep all of that going, no matter what your color or where you live, what kind of status. The classical music is for everybody, and the Chicago Sinfonietta proves that. Now, one of the pieces that the maestro loved the most has a real odd name, but it sure is fun to listen to. It is called Plink, Plank, Plunk. Let's listen to it right now.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Chicago Sinfonietta family, the most diverse orchestra in North America, we'd like to share some joy to brighten your day.
By the way, that was the music director, May Ann Chin, and she's got her own style that I love to see. She is wonderful at leading the orchestra. Now, you're not going to need a cup of coffee after something like that because I love the pace of that tune. But let's get back to the Chicago Sinfonietta, entering its 33rd year. And it's also the nation's most diverse orchestra, making classical music accessible to everybody, every neighborhood, every part of the city, and expanding from the nation all over the world. Check this out. 6 European tours, 2 Kennedy Center performances, 9 seasons as the pit orchestra for the Joffrey Ballet, and 2 Millennium Park concerts for thousands of people here at home in Chicago. And I haven't even mentioned the awards yet. They are the MacArthur Award for Creative and Effective Institutions. It is not easy to earn an award in recognition like that. The Genius Award for Nonprofit Organizations. And in 2016, the Chicago Innovation Spirit of Innovation Award. One of the programs that the Chicago Sinfonietta is most proud of is called Project Inclusion. It's a groundbreaking program dedicated to changing the whole face of classical music. It was created by the Sinfonietta's founder, Maestro Paul Freeman, designed to bring new talent and mentorship together to develop diversity among up-and-coming musicians and conductors and composers and administrators on and off the stage. And what was created to help eliminate institutional bias due to ethnicity, race, and socioeconomic status has since broadened to tackle matters of diversity and inclusion from every possible angle. Project Inclusion Freeman Fellowship serves more fellows than any other similar fellowships combined. Now, let's hear a piece called Cumbia y Conga. It is the last movement in William Grant Still's Danzas de Panama, performed by members of the Sinfonietta's Project Inclusion Fellowship Program. You know what I love about what we just heard? You could just feel the joy in the music, and the Chicago Sinfonietta remains a perfect way to showcase young talent all across the city, like you just heard. Remember that through your support, we're guaranteeing that that continues. It's your donations that will keep the music going. And you can support the Sinfonietta in a couple of ways. By mail, you can return the envelope that was sent to you with the invitation, or You can do it electronically. And you may have seen across the screen a link show up. You can donate your money through that link that's provided. And you'll see it from time to time as this continues. And somebody is going to win something awful special with this raffle. The winner of today's raffle, just to remind you, gets all the fixings needed to host your brunch for 8. And you'll get ingredients for mimosas and a 1-hour outdoor performance by a Chicago Sinfonietta musician. So that is awful nice. The winner's brunch must be scheduled in advance and completed on or before September 30th of this year. So that's September 30, 2020. And it must take place in Chicagoland. Don't worry about that, because if you're wondering what's the right weather day to pick for that, I have a few connections. We might be able to work out a way you get the perfect weather day. So nice offer. It's a wonderful thing to be a part of. But now I think we ought to hear from the chairman of the board himself of the Chicago Sinfonietta, Mr. Scott Hoseman.
Hello, Southside friends. I'm Scott Hoseman, board chair of this great organization, the Chicago Sinfonietta. Thank you for gathering us here today virtually for a little summer magic. For many years, me and my family have enjoyed your event, the Magical Holiday Breakfast, as a kickoff to each and every one of our holiday seasons. And I don't know about you, but I know I sure could use all the magic I can get these days. You see, the world feels incredibly challenging and daunting. Yes, there's the obvious impacts of COVID on everyone, but there's also the disparate impact of COVID-19 in our communities of color, with Blacks at a 2.3 times higher infection rate than whites. We have the painful murders of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor, just to mention a few names in a long list of countless others. We need a little magic, and we need to come together now more than ever before. But you see, that's why I'm proud to be a part of this organization, because we have a history, a legacy of 32 years of addressing some of these issues that for many are just finding out or awakening to for the first time. Well, so what does that mean for us? Well, it means that this organization is prepared to rise to the occasion and this moment. I would argue in many ways better than most all other arts organizations. It also means that we have had practice at using our voice to create change in this society. But now is the time for us not only to use our voice, but to raise our voice. Yes, for diversity, equity, and inclusion for everybody, but also very specifically to address the injustices of racial inequality and racism. Our leadership, with the dynamic duo of Maestra May Ann Chen and Blake Anthony Johnson, puts us in a position to keep making the magic happen. On behalf of the entire board, according to Crain's, the most diverse not-for-profit board in the city of Chicago, we stand behind them and you, our Southside friends, as we continue to lock hands together, even if virtually, to make sure that we can all overcome injustice and inequality. Thank you, Southside friends, and a toast to you for a little summer magic.
Man, do I have a wonderful opportunity right now. I've got two of the driving forces behind the Chicago Sinfonietta. I have the music director herself, the conductor, Ms. May Ann Chen. I also have the CEO, the new CEO of the Chicago Sinfonietta, Mr. Blake Anthony Johnson. Hi, everybody.
Hello, Steve. Such a pleasure.
You know what is perfect about this setting? Blake Anthony is letting us know it's daytime where we are, but May Ann, it's a totally different story where you are. What time is it there right now?
I am 13 hours ahead of you in Taiwan, my native country. So I am here in the concert hall I will be performing in, and actually it's in my hometown, Weiwuying, the largest world's complex since 2018. So I wanted to share that with my Sinfonietta family.
It looks like a beautiful setting. Now, do you get many opportunities to be a guest conductor? Because we are awful proud of you with the Chicago Sinfonietta, and we know you go out and tell the story as well.
Thank you. Yes, I do love traveling the world and be able to spread the gospel of Chicago Sinfonietta and Maestro Paul Freeman's legacy around the world. And so it's fun to do that.
I am so anxious to let everybody get to know Blake Anthony Johnson. I mentioned him earlier, the new CEO. Blake Anthony, maybe a month or so on the job. I'm wondering what has attracted you to the Chicago Sinfonietta, and welcome at the same time.
Oh, thank you. You know, I've known about Sinfonietta for quite some time. And when you look at things like our recordings, our most recent one, of course, being the Project W series, and things like our Project Inclusion program is really amazing. I mean, it has really put some amazing fellows, both in, of course, conducting and some amazing positions and orchestra positions and administrative. And then, you know, as we go a little later, I might tell you a few teasers of how we're even expanding that program. So there's so much history here with, of course, the founder, Paul Freeman, but also just what we've done in the last 32 years. That makes us a MacArthur winning orchestra that, of course, drew me to the organization right away.
You know, the thing about the Sinfonietta, you try to search for words to describe what that experience is like. From the conductor's point of view, Mayanne, what is it that makes this orchestra so unique?
Well, first of all, it's like a family. Everybody likes each other. And so I'm so excited to see their new best friend being Blake Anthony, who is a professional cellist. And I really consider him as one of us in terms of being in the orchestra. But also, I think the fact that everybody is so open-minded and willing to embrace our innovative programmings, which is always a little hard to put together, but that the spirit of being creative, it's always there from the very start. And I always appreciate Maestro Freeman for instilling that in everybody.
The thing about this orchestra in particular is that it embraces diversity. I don't know if it's still the case, but there are not very many women who are conductors or women who are composers, or at least getting the opportunity. Is that right?
You're absolutely right. And as Blake Anthony mentioned, Project W as our newest album between Chicago Sinfonietta and SETI Records. Wonderful collaboration. Really features women composers in a time when they were less than 2% of the entire repertoire performed in the country. And so we have been sort of pioneering in that effort and continue in our new adjusted season.
You know, Blake Anthony, there are students that I've run into who have been mentored by the Sinfonietta. I know that a part of the calling, we mentioned diversity, it's also inclusion and opportunity. So how successful do you think we are at that?
Well, I'm so glad you asked me that, because it's one of the things that make us really unique. Our general blueprint, not just in Chicago, but really in the country, is quite phenomenal. And so we have our Resonance Orchestra Project, which we work with so many different community partners and really allow them to tell us how they want their local symphony to interact with them. Of course, we have our education programs that are in DuPage and Aurora, and of course in downtown Chicago as well through the CPS school system. And then of course, outside of that, we have all of these kind of many programs that are really tailored to the needs. I mean, one of the beauties of Chicago Sinfonietta is that we're quite nimble and can really adjust to what's happening in the world in real time. And so even outside of our huge kind of educational program and our adult programming, we still find new ways to connect to people.
And you don't think of an orchestra as being active that way, but it's a very active orchestra, right?
Absolutely.
One thing about May, I think we have incredible backgrounds going on physically with the office and the beautiful building that you're in, but I don't think anything has topped Blake Anthony's morning drink. Look at that drink he's got over there.
I'm glad you appreciate it. Yeah,
Wow.
This is the magical brunch, mimosa, we'll call it.
See, we know how to celebrate and do things in style, isn't that right? Now,
Absolutely.
I wanted to know how does it work with a CEO and the music director? There's a lot that you two have to collaborate on. Is that right?
Absolutely, and I will say it's different in every orchestra. And so I think one of the things that I loved even before I started my tenure here a couple of months ago was Mayan and I really see eye to eye on so many things. If you look even at her past before she took this role as conductor, she had a strong investment in youth with the youth orchestra. She had a strong investment in female composers and people of color. She had a strong investment in really kind of figuring out what does this 21st century orchestra look like. And that's not really something that you can convince someone of. And so I think here it's been really great. I mean, we're text buddies or email buddies. Even with the time change, we're still very much working together. And, that a bit of kind of a safety net to really be vulnerable and taking risk, I think is so important. And so I value this partnership really more than I could probably describe in words.
And Mayan is so composed as we look at you, Mayan. But I know, and others know who have seen the Sinfonietta, how driving you are and how energetic you are and the force you put into it. How do you explain what the Sinfonietta experience is like to see the performance from your point of view?
Oh, there's nothing like being in a live performance, especially with Chicago Sinfonietta. It's really about all of us holding hands at the edge of the cliff and say "Konbawa." I mean, literally, we have so many wonderful projects together, and it's interesting because I find a way to spend the money, and Blake Anthony basically said to me, "How high do you want to jump?" And so it's been so wonderful brainstorming, adjusting our new season to meet all kinds of requirements and taking into considerations financially as well. But I am so thrilled that between Blake Anthony and I, that we were able to, in the new season, to continue our strongest commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So here's an example that we will have a season opening featuring 50% of the program are works written by composers of color and women. And then the annual Dr. King tribute concert will be written 100% by African American composers. And each one of the program next season, almost you can't find any orchestra in the country who actually have committed to this. We will have one new commission work from each program by an African American composer. And so, Blake Anthony, do you want to talk about the exciting expansion to our project inclusion? You mentioned the 3 programs before: the instrumentalist, the conductors, the administrator. We're launching in this crazy time when everybody's shrinking.
That's
we're
right.
actually launching a new program, and then also establishing possibly a very first new program as well.
Absolutely. So I think, in light of COVID, people are always kind of curious, how do you plan a new season and what do you do? And in many ways, our organization is full of creatives. And so even with kind of a truncated season, we've found that really as a charge and kind of a challenge to even be more creative and find more ways to keep, our progressive streak that we've had for the last 32 years. And so for Project Inclusion, this is really exciting because we're actually going to have a composer fellowship. So a Project Inclusion composer Freeman Fellowship. And I think that's really important to know, because one of the things that we're also doing this next season, which will be new and you'll get a lot more information later, is actually a artist in residency, which will really be a really interesting kind of collaboration with an outside force who, I can't tell you who she is yet, but she is really dynamic. And it's not just her work in terms of us playing her music, but it's her work in, for instance, workshops with our resident orchestra project program, and really kind of putting her in the community. Is her work with our new composer fellow, which again, they'll get kind of firsthand experience. And then really is, Sinfonietta is a leader in so many ways. And so when we talk about equity, diversity, inclusion, this idea of explaining kind of the relationship that goes behind what you see on stage. And so a lot of what we're going to have in this artist residency program is really a way to show people what that trajectory looks like over time, because it's not just a one concert thing, but it's really about relationships and really providing access. So that's just kind of two things, but we have a lot ahead.
I mean, it seems like the virus, the pandemic has not slowed down the progress of the Sinfonietta very much at all. You both seem like you have just as much enthusiasm as before these trying times with all this social distancing.
Absolutely. Right now we're going through, of course, two major kind of milestones in our history, one being COVID and one being social justice, kind of the resurgence on the national stage. And in terms of COVID, in terms of us really kind of using cultural capital to really improve the health of others, we've already been doing that. And that's why we have such a large blueprint in our learning and community services. And when you look at social justice, if you look at the partners that we have in Chicago, when you look at the type of programming that we do, these kind of intellectual exercises that are integrated in the program, we are very much already been doing that in business as usual. So for us, this is a really interesting time to really educate people and to really take up that space to, be proud of kind of, okay, we already established that and we actually have more to come.
Well, you both are great ambassadors. You tell the story well. I can feel the music in the air just listening to the way that you talk about it with your enthusiasm. And maybe one of these years, Blake Anthony, I'll wind up with the strings, sitting somewhere close to Mayanne. I won't play. I just want to sit there and soak up the experience firsthand. When do you think you'll be back in town, Mayanne?
I'll be back right before our concert one. And I want to thank all our musicians for being so flexible and willing to just work with a lot of, different situations in this difficult time. But I also want to thank all the Southside friends. As they have heard me say, it takes a village to raise an orchestra.
Yes.
And we just absolutely love this village called the Southside Friends, who have supported us over decades of incredible hard work and dedication. So we can't live without you guys. Thank you so much.
It's great to be a part of it. Blake Anthony, welcome to town. Feel like we know you already, and we do in that sense. And I know that drink over there that keeps getting my attention may be a perfect way to sort of end things today, right? As we move on.
I just, I want to say thank you so much to you, Steve, and to Maestro Mayan Chen. There's so many stakeholders at play, like our amazing staff and board and associate board and our other philanthropic arms. But a really sincere thank you to Southside Friends, and just a cheers to this season and your magical brunch.
We'll see you later. We got more coming up today from today's celebration, but I will talk to you guys later. See you.
Absolutely. Take care.
See you. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.
I just looked out my window. It's looking awful cloudy out there. Don't worry. I think we'll be okay. Let's see. 79 degrees today for the high and a low of 68. You didn't think I was going to let this opportunity go by without giving you a little weather report. One of the long traditions of the Southside Friends is to feature talented young artists from around the area, and they're often accompanied by my good friend, Mr. George Cooper. You heard him earlier today as he started this program at the piano. He is really a marvelous musician. I want to tell you a little bit more about George Cooper. He's a Fisk University alum. He's a Fisk Jubilee singer, a gifted pianist, and founder of the Ella Shepherd School of Music. Today, Mr. Cooper is accompanying a rising star vocalist. Her name is Lauren Griffin. Lauren is a vocalist from a prominent musical family here in Chicago. Lauren is a recent graduate, a brand new graduate, class of 2020 of the Chicago High School for the Performing Arts. Congratulations, Lauren. Lauren plans to attend Southern Illinois at Carbondale this fall. Let's hear from Mr. George Cooper and Miss Lauren Griffin. Very, very nice. You know, what does it mean to support the Chicago Sinfonietta? It means providing thousands of children and adults the opportunity to learn about and experience classical music. It means taking the music to the schools, young fourth and fifth and sixth graders in Chicago's public schools, where the next generation of musicians and composers can be nurtured. It also means identifying young talent like you just heard, people like Lauren Griffin, and offering them a series of workshops and opportunities with master classes taught by Chicago Sinfonietta teacher musicians in small ensemble settings. What else does it mean to support or to donate? It means bringing a piece of the Sinfonietta to the people, where Sinfonietta members can go to neighborhoods and cultural centers all around the city. And we certainly do need to keep that going. There's another tradition. This is a tradition from the Chicago Sinfonietta. The final music performance at every MLK concert performance is We Shall Overcome. And usually that is performed where we all stand up, maybe hold hands and sing along. We cannot do that today, but I urge you to maybe do that at home or wherever you are. You can sing along to We Shall Overcome. I had a great time today. I hope you have. This has been a real joy, and we've done it virtually. We've experienced the music. We've seen what the Sinfonietta is all about, and we want to keep it flowing, keep the music in the air, and we'll do that with your support. I want you to stand by after this next selection because the president of the Southside Friends, Loretta Davenport, has another very important message for everybody. I hope to see you soon and give you that hug in person. Until next time, I'll see you later.
So, if you're comfortable, would you please hold hands with your new friends next to you? We're gonna sing and swing side by side for We Shall Overcome in honor of Dr. King. Here we go. Overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday.
Well, we've come to the end of our program. I hope you have enjoyed it. On behalf of the Southside Friends of Chicago Sinfonietta, I'd like to extend our heartfelt appreciation to everyone who made this program possible. To all the wonderful musicians, to Steve Baskerville, George Cooper, to Mayanne and Blake Anthony, to the Sinfonietta staff, we thank you. I also acknowledge with great affection the members of the Southside Friends of Chicago Sinfonietta for their vision, courage, and commitment to this project. If you would like to learn more about us, or if you're interested in joining us, please contact us at the email address on the screen. Until we meet again, please be well and stay safe. Cheers.